In this video, we'll write our first Java program and learn to use some of the basic building blocks. So in last video, we talked about different layers of programming languages and how they enable us to use computers. Now, let's actually jump in and write a simple program in Java. And to do this, I have put a link in the description so you can open an editor called JDoodle. And this one is very easy. It opens in the browser and you can just type and test your programs. So it's very useful for trying things out and interacting. We need to somehow interface with the computer. We talked about in the past videos about how there's so many different ways to actually interact with the computer now. One of the best interfaces we could use is the command line, which is a text input and output interface, and it doesn't really have any rich visual graphics or any sound interaction or any other new modern form of interactions, and it helps focus on learning the basic constructs and different methods of using the programming languages. So the very first thing we need to do when we start writing a programming language is to explain in natural language what that program does. We do this by writing comments, because whatever we write in our code is going to get compiled or processed by the compiler. We need to make sure the compiler is not confused, because the compiler, as you remember, only understands very basic words and definitions, so it doesn't actually know anything about our human natural languages. So we have to separate those from the actual code, even though they both are used for us to write our programs. So the comments in Java are used in a few different ways. We can use double slash characters like this, or we could use easy one to start in most editors is if you press a slash and 2 stars and press enter. Usually you start to get these multi-line comment, and then when you finish with your comment, you can press another slash, and that kind of finishes the block of comment for you. So this is a little block, and you can put some descriptions in it. And this one in Java has some special powers, and we learn that in future videos. But for now, let's just describe that what a program does. So in this case, we could just write, okay, this one is producing the sound that or printing the sound that the sheep makes. The next thing we need to do is to create a class. Now we will get into details of what classes and objects are in future videos. So we're going to name this class sheep, or maybe sheep sound. So we try to describe always what the class does in the name. So the syntax here is public class sheep sound, and then now we need a class body. So the body is where all of the code for this section of the program is going to go to. And note that in the name we are putting capital letters at the beginning of each word that we use, and this is a convention. We always try to follow conventions that makes program look more consistent and easier to read and understand for other people. We write our program in sections, and then we insert new code in relevant sections to expand the program instead of writing it from top to the bottom. The next thing I need to do is to tell this program to start somewhere, because if I just write a bunch of instruction but it's not clear where to start, the compiler wouldn't know where to start. Public is static void main, and there's this weird syntax that says a string args, and this is we'll talk about that in future. But if you remember when I was talking previous video about programs being written in blocks with input and output, this is one way we can pass an input to our program. So how do we actually print to the output or to the command line? So we have to actually tap into some of the built-in features of the programming language. So these are not the basic reserved keywords. These are programs that other people have written and is included in the programming language, kind of as a whole bundle of you can think about them like expressions that we could reuse, right? So there's somewhat a standard, and when you learn the programming languages, that is actually probably a big part of the learning curve, is to actually learn to know those. A lot of people get hung up on the syntax, or how you actually combine different basic words and constructs in a programming language to create a code. But much of learning of a new program language is how to use those sort of built-in routines and programs that come with that platform. Here's one of them. So to actually print to the command line, we have somebody already written the program to do that, and they provide us a way of calling it, or a way of asking to execute it, right? So we do this by just typing system.out, and we are accessing their program, and then call a method in it called println. So we do .println, which is shorthand for print the line, so print a new line. And then inside that, we're going to pass. Again, this method takes an input and producing an output, right? So we need to give it something. The thing that we're actually giving it is what we call a string. So it's a phrase, and its strings are represented in a programming language like Java by putting them inside quotation marks, right? So start with a quotation, and then we write the phrase, and then we close it with a quotation mark. And then we pass that to our method to actually print it to the command line. That's it, basically. So we just have to remember that put the semicolon at the end of the line. So, and then once we are finished with the program, we just hit execute. And you can see in the black section at the bottom of JDoodle, you can see the output, right? The sheep agree, I think. No, maybe not. In the next video, we'll talk about the importance of natural languages in programming and how we combine them with formal languages to make our programs. See you then.